1 of high-stakes peace talk between the U.S. and Iran now in the books. They started on a rocky note in Switzerland, with Iran threatening to close the Strait of Hormuz again, and President Trump warning if they do that, they will not have a country. Fox News senior national correspondent Kevin Corke is tracking all the developments for us.
And he has the latest tonight from the White House.
Vice President JD Vance continues to be the tip of the spear for the Trump administration in its ongoing negotiations in Switzerland, again to somehow come to a productive end of this 60-day ceasefire and eventually end Iran's nuclear program as the negotiations shift into yet another phase. Now,
what a dumbass ceasefire. There's been missiles and shit being launched all over the place, bombs being dropped and shit, but it's a ceasefire. It's just like, it ain't even serious no more. They just say, they call shit whatever they want to call it, but they do otherwise. It don't even make sense. And we sit here and this is the news. And JD Vance is the tip of the spear. But you have a president saying you won't have a country if this shit don't go good. What kind of negotiations is that? That's Trump trying to insert itself. Is it going to work? Probably not. You got Israel over there doing things. And that's a whole nother issue. If he can't rein in Israel, then we're going to have some problems.
this particular effort follows an escalation in fighting between Israel and Hezbollah. The vice president, along with special envoy Steve Witkoff and the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, met with Pakistan's prime minister.
And that Jared Kushner needs to just get the fuck out the way. He is not a negotiator. And if he has anything, I can't believe that the Democrats wasting their time talking all this shit about all this shit. Why don't they just focus on Jared Kushner? Find out what his net worth and wealth has grown to during the time Trump is in office right now. There has to be some laws. There has to be, unless this is like the equivalent of what the fuck Biden and his son Hunter did. And you guys kind of just let that kind of shit roll. Because that's what it seems like. Whatever you guys come up with, he can pardon him. And whatever he did, you guys do. Because nobody seems to be too mad about Jared Kushner. And Jared Kushner is not making no peace. What is he over there for? He should have nothing to do with anything in that room. What the fuck is he standing there for? What's he going to negotiate for? He's patting his pockets. And the goddamn Democrats know it. And ain't nobody saying shit about it. Y'all notice his name come up like he's some kind of fucking lead negotiator for the United States? What is he negotiating? What is his knowledge? What is his history? Where's his experience at?
In Switzerland, as you may know, Pakistan has been acting as a bit of a mediator between the U.S. and Iran, with officials from that Middle Eastern country also in Switzerland for the negotiations on Sunday.
What today really represents is the beginning of a technical negotiation that's not going to solve every disagreement, but is going to allow us to sit together as teams for the first time really in history to figure out what matters most to the respective parties, to settle those issues, to solve those issues, and get to a better tomorrow.
What a wonderful statement. Whoever wrote that shit or helped him write that shit should be commended. But the fucked up part about it is, then Trump gonna storm in behind him and say, or we're gonna tear up your whole goddamn country. We're gonna fuck up your shit. There will be no country. That includes children, everybody. What kind of shit is that coming from the leader of the most powerful country on the planet? And what kind of people are we to allow this shit? To allow our president to step up? Why can't we just tell him to shut the fuck up when it comes to just that kind of talk that we know ain't helping nobody, and we dealing with these high-ass gas prices, and he playing games like that? He can't come up with a statement like fucking Vance did that makes some fucking sense, that sound calm. And this good cop, bad cop shit might not work in this particular situation. So Donald Trump should knock that shit off and chill. Find out what we can accomplish in negotiations and then honor it. Backing out all these agreements, and even if it's just as little as a ceasefire, no one seems to be able to hold that. So how can we be trusted, and how can any kind of peace be trusted until we can negotiate something and prove that we're going to honor it, prove we're going to stand by it. Trump is looked at as being the worst president we've ever had, and he's about to negotiate a huge deal with Iran, Israel's security in that region for as far into the future as we can see, based on all what we're going through here. Preemptive strikes and shit, walking out in negotiations. So we better come up with some shit that is permanent, or either so terrible, like the Democrats have said, that they're going to have to come in and immediately retract it and replace it and fix the shit. That's what's going to have to happen. The Democrats ain't groaning too bad about the shit that Trump is doing. They just want to know if he can make a deal. At this point, when you're dealing on that international level and with a adversary like Iran that is as unpredictable, and you don't have as much information on them as you may have thought you did, apparently, dragging this shit into where we have gone, and Trump is throwing tantrums now. Can't be throwing tantrums and being all pissed off. And you know how when your kids make you mad and you ain't going to get up and have a coherent conversation with them. You're just going to look over your shoulder and say, I'm going to beat your ass. That's what Trump is doing. He's telling Iran, I'm going to beat your ass, because that's frustration. When we're not frustrated with our children, we talk to them differently. But sometimes we get frustrated. Sometimes we get to the end of our rope. And Trump, as a president, is showing that too much. I think any president has the human side of him that is going to seep out. But this is all we're getting out of him is a bunch of fucking one-liners and news cycles. And that needs to stop. And are we going to be able to make a deal here? Something that's going to really matter? Something that's going to really be honored? And is Israel and the United States on the same page? Can Israel be reined in? Can they be told? I mean, no other president allowed Netanyahu to ever get it started, get it going. Trump did. And you know how you give a 4 or 5-year-old candy for the first time. And that can be something that's hard to get away from them. And I think that's what we've done with Israel.
The vice president taking part in technical level talks over the 60-day U.S.-Iran ceasefire with the ultimate goal of permanently ending the fighting and reopening the Strait of Hormuz and potentially resolving differences over Iran's nuclear program moving forward. Meantime, President Trump is warning Iran to immediately rein in.
You guys remember early on in this shit when Trump was saying something like, we don't need this oil. We doing, Europe don't want to help. Well, shit, it's them who need this shit. We doing this for them. And then everybody was like, well, why are our prices so high? Why is our fuel prices so high? We don't need this shit. Why are we being affected by this? We went over there, dropping bombs and attacking, and it's hit our shores. Immediately. As if we didn't have high enough gas prices. Everything got worse. That's all people talk about at barbecues and parties and at work and in traffic and in stores and long-ass lines buying that high-ass shit. Standing in line with a little half of a basket of shit that's going to cost you a lot. And you have to stand in line like that for it. And be more pissed off and be able to congregate amongst other people like yourself and be like, man, this is fucked up. People looking in the basket, oh shit, that look good. Oh hell no, that's why I didn't buy that. Costs too much. Everything costs too much. And Donald Trump is doing nothing now but just praying and hoping. He took bad advice. He had bad folks who he listened to. And this is what it got us. And we need to get out of this immediately. And I don't think we're going to be able to because his energy isn't a good one for this kind of a negotiation after we have had the recent pass with Iran. So I don't know. His leadership is dragging this along and making this worse than it has to be. We need to make some quick objectives. Quit the bullshit. Quit talking about things that we really don't mean. Quit trying to fool people into believing it's all about nuclear weapons and it's about whatever else it is. Who gives a damn? At this point, we want low gas prices. Dial it down like you dialed it up, and try to get us back to where we can start talking about Democrats and Republicans again. And this shit that's going on right now is not going to help you. It's going to put you in a position where you're going to fight the rest of your term against the Democrats impeaching you for who knows what. And it's your own fault. You would have thought that anybody with common sense could have been moderately cool, even in their own positions that they are strongly, on and in and ain't changing, ain't stepping back from, ain't changing. And he couldn't even be that patient just to get past these midterms with some sort of opportunity to not be fucking impeached again and again and again and waste our time. It doesn't benefit any of us. I didn't want the shit to happen, and it's gonna be some impeachments. There's gonna be some bullshit going on up there that makes no sense. And no deep dive into Jared Kushner. I think you could shut a lot of shit down if you did that, but then you might have to hand over Hunter for some other shit that he wasn't exonerated for. Or can he even be convicted of anything again? Is a pardon like fucking a get out of jail free card forever, or is it just for those particular crimes? And I think that's how it goes. So Hunter better be careful. He better hope nothing else pops up, but I think the government protects the president's kids, the president's in-laws, the president's friends. Epstein files, that's a good example. Trump feels that people will be hurt. They must be motherfuckers he care about. If he thought it was people who was going to be hurt he didn't give a fuck about, the Epstein files would be released. But for us to know that that's even a part of his answer is fucked up. He doing way too many bad things. Some of the shit at first was kind of laughable. You kind of be like, because you see people so irritated by it because they're so used to just going along to get along and voting blue no matter who. And then he gets his opportunity, which, I don't think anybody had any higher hopes or anything. Like he was going to really, for real, be the best president ever. That's just out of his own fucking mouth. His actions never line up with his words. And that's the most horrifying thing about him, is that he says things that are going to be terrible and devastating, and they usually aren't. And then when he doesn't speak heavily about things, it turns out to be pretty severe. And that's kind of dangerous and fucked up coming out of a president. And then low ass approval ratings, but he a lame duck president. What can happen except him signing a bunch of more executive orders and continuing this war?
And its Hezbollah allies in Lebanon, threatening fresh military action against Iran, even as the talks continue. Writing on Truth Social, Iran must immediately stop their highly paid proxies in Lebanon from causing trouble. If they don't, we'll hit Iran very hard again, just like we did last week. Yeah,
that's him just saying we can't control Israel, so can you control Hezbollah? Can you control your proxy? Because we can't do shit with ours. Israel's doing the damn thing. And if Iran was to shut Hezbollah's aggression down completely, would Israel stop? Would Hezbollah be safe? Maybe that's why the fighting is still going on. I don't know. But Israel bears some responsibility, and so does the United States. And they're trying to form this little narrative now that, oh no, it's Hezbollah. They're keeping the firing going on. And, I ain't buying it.
Harder. Now, the talks were originally planned for Friday, but because of the ongoing conflict between Israel and Lebanon, they were pushed back. The Iranians continue to try to tie what's happening there to the ongoing talks in Switzerland. At the White House, Kevin Cork, Fox News.
We are drifting down a fucking lake, river, stream, and we ain't got no paddle. We ain't got no direction. And nobody know how this shit is going to end, including Donald Trump. You are in the most powerful fucking seat in the world, and you might not like the way this thing is going to end. You might not like the way things are going, but you have a hand in it. You have the ability to direct it, to guide it a little bit, push it along, slow it down, whatever you need to do so that the most people get the best outcome. You don't just go bomb a country and then send the world into some kind of a fucking recession and fuel shortages and high prices and act like Israel's ability to protect itself was the reason, and Iran's ability to not make nuclear weapons was the reason, and all these other things that make no fucking sense. When you were negotiating with them, you weren't at war with Iran. We and Israel struck Iran. You could have continued to talk at the table. It might have dragged along. But was it worth high prices? Do we feel that sense of urgency was justified? Because if it wasn't, those are the things that the Democrats need to be looking into when they get back in office. To let presidents know you can't do that. To get Jared Kushner and flush him out and let the Republicans fire back at that goddamn Hunter Biden. We don't give a fuck about him. We're not going to spend any political capital on Hunter Biden. Fuck him. If he did some shit over there in Ukraine when he was over there, then so be it. And the Democrats need to abandon that shit because it's not helping the many. It's just helping the few. And we need to stop that shit. And we need to get rid of the bully president. That shit ain't working. I don't like it. Always never warmed up to tough talkers. I like people who mean what they say and say what they mean. And I don't, in my memory, I can't remember any president that we've had who's done that, which means the office has just been a bunch of bullshit for us. And we all should have an office that we can believe in and have speeches and information coming out of that department that makes sense. And we don't. Just a bunch of bullshit. Like, comment, share. Please subscribe. And we'll see you on the next Black Popcorn.